Bobbie Robin's Red Feathers, read by Nannie RaRa. The robin had made a nest in the box in Nannie's garden. Nannie glanced as she went by and saw the robin sitting on the nest. It must have laid some eggs. The robin sat there for days and days. Sometimes the robin would hop off the nest and go around the garden looking for something to eat. Then one day, Nannie noticed the robin hopping around with insects hanging from its beak. The eggs must have hatched. The robins are very busy now getting food for their growing youngsters. When Nannie went past the box, the parent wasn't sitting there. Instead, there were several pairs of eyes looking at her. The baby robins had been told to stay still unless one of the parents came back with food. Then they would squawk and open their beaks, nudging each other to see who could get most food. But there was enough for all. The parents went searching for food from dawn until dusk. The day came when the young robins were ready to leave the nest. They stood on the edge of the nest box, then flapped their wings and landed on the grass. The parent robins kept bringing them food, lots of tasty insects and worms. One of the baby robins, called Bobbie, looked at his chest and noticed it was brown, not red like his daddy. What had gone wrong? Why didn't he have red feathers? Bobbie wandered round the garden looking for anything that was red. He came across a pot of paint that Nannie had been using to paint the garage door. "I'll try that," he said, and stood on the paint pot. He leant forward to get the paint on his chest. Oh no! He fell in and ended up being red all over. This wasn't meant to happen. Luckily, Nannie had the hose on, so Bobbie ran under the water until all the paint had washed off. What next? Bobbie looked in the window and saw Nannie was making a red jelly for tea. That was the right colour. Nannie opened the window so that the jelly would cool down and set quicker. This was Bobbie's chance. He hopped onto the bowl and was very careful this time. He'd learnt his lesson from the paint. He put his beak in the jelly. That was tasty. Maybe he would just have a few sips before colouring his feathers. He then put the liquid jelly all over his chest. Bobbie heard Nannie coming back, so he quickly flew out the window. He now had a red chest, but as the jelly set, his feathers became very tacky and stuck together. This wouldn't do. He had to lick the jelly off, and by the time he had finished, he decided jelly wasn't tasty after all. Bobbie saw Nannie was sitting at the table with a red lipstick. She used it to make her lips red. That could help him. The robin sat there patiently waiting for Nannie to go indoors. He didn't have long to wait. Nannie's phone rang, so she got up and went indoors, leaving the lipstick on the table. Bobbie hopped onto the table and stuck his beak in the lipstick. He then rubbed his beak onto his chest. Yes, that worked. He now had red feathers. Not quite the bright red that his daddy had. More of a bright pinkish red, and it was a bit smeary and streaky. Bobbie was very pleased and went to show his parents. They were in the tree and he had to push past some leaves. By the time he got there, the lipstick had brushed off. How is he going to be a proper robin? Bobbie fell asleep thinking of his red chest. The next morning, he woke up and looked down and saw something red. Was it paint that he had missed? No, he'd cleaned all the paint off. Was it jelly? No, it wasn't sticky. Was it lipstick? No, it was the wrong colour. He put his beak down and tried to pull it out. Ouch! That hurt. He realised he had a red feather growing. Bobbie was so happy, he jumped around the grass and sang and sang. He was a real robin redbreast now. The end. I hope you enjoyed this story of Bobbie Robin's red feathers. You can buy this as either a paperback or e-book from Amazon. Visit nannieraRa.com to see what other books Nannie RaRa has written.